The next speaker is Amita Singh, followed by Robert Allen and Jacqueline Richard. Ms. Singh?
Good evening. My name is Amrita Singh.
I'm sorry, I couldn't read it. My apologies.
So my name is Amrita Singh. I'm a Brighton resident. I grew up in Brighton, K through 12. This is my home. This is my hometown. And that said, I stand with Robin, and I stand with the Palestinian people. So before I continue, I want to note that it is complete hypocrisy to do a land acknowledgement, acknowledging that we're on Indigenous land, while suppressing discussion, conversation, facts about the struggles of the Palestinian people. The Palestinian struggle is one of the last remaining decolonial struggles in this world, and I am just shocked that we would give these words about the Indigenous people without acknowledging this. So again, I speak as a Brighton resident. I also speak as an Indian American. My parents were immigrants who moved to this country in the 70s. They're both Indian. They faced quite a lot in that. And generations before that, I come from a colonized people. So that is the grounding that I'm coming from in saying this. Growing up in Brighton, I witnessed so much racism, so much discrimination. When I think about it now as an adult, it makes me sick to think of the things I saw, the things that happened to me personally, the things that happened to people around me. In particular, the hostility that Black students experience in Brighton. And I think about that so often, and I wonder what it could have been like if we had role models like Robin back then. I just didn't have that back then. I didn't have words. I didn't have someone speaking up for people like me and people like my fellow students of color. And I'm so grateful that we have her now, and this town owes so much to her. I'm also an organizer with the Citywide Tenant Union of Rochester. In December, I was arrested as part of a civil disobedience alongside 18 other community members. We were blockading an eviction of a Black woman in the city of Rochester who was being unjustly evicted because she spoke out against her landlord. 30 riot police arrived to arrest us. It was one of the most traumatic moments of my life. When I was dropped off in the middle of downtown Rochester with nobody around me, I was picked up by Robin. Robin brought me donuts. She hugged me. She gave me comfort. And I will never forget that, and I am so grateful to Robin for that. So we need her here, and we need more people like her. And this thing that's happening, it's just going to discourage people like Robin from joining our community, from participating, from speaking out. This is repression, it's suppression, and we just can't have it here. Lastly, I want to note again just that growing up in Brighton, we didn't talk about the Palestinian struggle, and that is horrible. That any kind of conversation about it was completely suppressed. We weren't allowed. It was something that I knew was happening, but I knew I wasn't allowed to talk about it in school. I wasn't allowed to talk about it with the people around me, and that's not right. So I want to close with something in Hindi. Nadi se samudra tak, Palestine azad hogi. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Robert Allen is our next speaker. Jacqueline Richard and Ginny Hall will follow. I just want to mention a couple of people signed in. You scrawled your name so it can't be read. We don't know who you are. I will not be able to call your name if I don't know who you are. But I also want to remind everybody that if you do choose while you're here, if you didn't sign up already, but you would like to speak, if you know you want to speak later during the course of our meeting tonight, you can feel free to go out to the table out by the entry and sign up to speak. But for those two people, I can't read your name, so I won't be able to call on you. I can read your name, Mr. Lockhart. It's not you. Mr. Lockhart, I can read your name. It is not you. Go ahead, speak.
Bill, you chose to start this meeting by honoring the indigenous people of Brighton. I'm going to choose to honor our police officers here this evening. With all due respect, as a Jew,
Mr. Allen, you know, you declined to show, Mr. Allen.
You didn't cut off anybody else. They rambled, they went on, they said their piece.
Mr. Allen, you've used your time. The next speaker is Jacqueline Richard, to be followed by Ginny Hall and Joy Bergfalk.
Before I start speaking about why I came here, I have to say women's autonomy, if we're not in charge of our own body, we will never be free.
I believe this says Nate Baldo.
My name is Ginny Hall. I live on Chelmsford Road. I've lived there since 1990. I'm a member of the Brighton Democratic Committee. I'm also a co-leader of Indivisible Rochester. As such, I espouse progressive values around equity and human rights. I support Councilmember Wilt, who also supports equity and human rights. She belongs on Brighton's Idea Board. Councilmember Wilt is a dedicated public servant. I hope the board will stand with Councilmember Wilt, as I do.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joy Bergfalk, followed by Nate Baldo and Jeremy Scher. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Joy Bergfalk, and I am here in my official capacity as a Baptist minister. I'm also the executive director of the Coffee Connection. We work with women in recovery from addiction, trauma, and incarceration. Bill, I want to thank you for starting out the meeting with the acknowledgement of the indigenous people who lived here before we did. And I think that really fits into why we are here tonight. I look like a white soccer grandma, but none of my grandkids on my family side are white. I am probably purebred Swedish, perhaps with a little bit of French gypsy thrown in, which makes sense to some people. But my family now comes from 9 countries. Besides Sweden, 2 Latin American countries, 1 Caribbean country, 2 Asian countries, and 3 African American countries. I live on Westfall Road, and I intentionally moved to Brighton 28 years ago because of the racial prejudice my children were experiencing in another community in the area. This is about respect for all humankind. All humankind, regardless of color, regardless of creed, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of political beliefs, regardless of country of origin, whether it be from Kenya, from Guatemala, from Israel, or from Palestine. Robin Wilt has become a very, very close friend of mine. I am embarrassed and distressed to hear our community speaking in this fashion and disrespect for anybody in this room. I'm fighting back tears. I'm feeling angry. If you truly know Robin Wilt, you will know she does not have one anti-Semitic bone in her body. And might I add, though I am a Baptist minister, my family includes people of the Jewish faith. Please, stop embarrassing me. Stop embarrassing yourselves. Stop the hatred. I'm dumbfounded and deeply, deeply distressed. I would have been here and spoken 2 weeks ago, but just before I was to leave, I fell and broke my knee. I hope that everyone will step back and think about their words tonight, regardless of where you stand on any issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nate Baldo is the next speaker, followed by Jeremy Schur and Roberta Schwartz.
Thank you very much. My name is Nate Baldo. I live in the city of Rochester. I grew up in Brighton, went to high school here. It's good to be back. Wanted to start off with what's really become apparent to me with regard to these events over the last few months has been the profound lack of empathy for Black and Palestinian communities. When I lived in Israel, one of the first things that struck me was how familiar it felt to Rochester. In terms of the segregation, in terms of the police presence, the discrepancy in terms of opportunity, depending on what neighborhood you lived in. When I took part in a rally in 12 Corners commemorating the tragedies that took place during the Palestinian catastrophe, or Nakba, I would hear counter-protesters yelling in unison, quote, "Palestine doesn't exist." This was at an event commemorating a tremendous loss of life. It is time that we as a community really start listening to the voices of those who are being directly affected by oppression, rather than minimizing their experiences, changing the subject, or gaslighting them by framing their liberation as another people's oppression. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It is not anti-Semitic to advocate for Palestinian human rights. If anything, thank you. It's been a while since I've gotten this much applause, so thank you. If anything, speaking personally, it strengthens my own personal connection to my Jewish ancestors who suffered both in the United States and Europe at the hands of white supremacy. I fully commend Robin's courage and moral integrity to stand up for what's right, even at great personal risk. She's truly demonstrating what moral courage is. She deserves nothing less than a public apology from not only her detractors, but also from those who have remained silent throughout this ordeal, including members of the board. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Jeremy Schur, followed by Roberta Schwartz and Devin Chase. Good evening.
Good evening, Jeremy Schur. I live on Fort Chipmunk Trail in Parrington. I want to thank the board tonight for listening to all these speakers, including me. I want to thank Councilmember Wilt. Councilmember Wilt has educated me and countless others in the Rochester area about what solidarity means, about how oppressed people find solidarity with other oppressed people and stand together against forces of oppression that a white person such as me, a white Jewish person such as me, struggles to understand. I want to thank Robin Wilt for explaining to me and to countless others in Rochester the history of solidarity between Black Americans and Palestinians who have seen in each other a shared legacy of oppression. I want to thank Councilmember Wilt for having the courage and endurance to sit here tonight and weather a stream of abuse that has continued unabated for countless weeks, undeserved and hateful. I want to thank Councilmember Wilt for providing such a positive example to me as someone who tries to learn more about what allyship means so that I can follow in her leadership and try to actually, rather than just say things like I am tonight, actually do things to make a difference in the lives of historically excluded people, such as black people and Palestinians. I want to thank Councilmember Wilt for remembering that Palestinians live here. But one thing that seems to be overlooked constantly in the discussion of Councilmember Wilt's statements is that she was making them not to harm anyone, but to acknowledge and recognize the Palestinian people who live here in Brighton and Rochester and Monroe County, people who have been hurting terribly. They are not Hamas, as other speakers have called them, but they are Palestinians. They are human beings whose family members and friends are suffering terribly in their homeland, a place that endures conditions that very few of us can even imagine. I want to thank Councilmember Wilt for making it easy to believe in her, to give her the benefit of the doubt, because as a Jewish person, I cannot fathom in her a desire to see harm inflicted on anyone, Jewish or otherwise. The demonization of Councilmember Wilt needs to stop. The bizarre assertions that she has ever posed with an anti-Semite needs to stop. She posed with a campaign surrogate and delegate in 2016 and 2020 for Bernie Sanders, not an avowed anti-Semite. The nonsensical claim that Free Palestine is some sort of anti-Semitic rallying cry needs to stop. To the rest of the board, to Supervisor Maley, to the other members of this board, you are standing at a momentous opportunity, and you have the chance to rise to it. You can speak out in solidarity and with love for your fellow council member, Robin Wilt, to say that you will stand together against the attacks, that you support her, that you have her back, that you believe in her, and that you will not stand for the hatred against her. You have this opportunity, the eyes of not just Brighton, but not just Rochester, not just Monroe County, but I believe across the state and maybe beyond will be upon you. I think the decision is easy. This is a town that will support all of you if you march together hand in hand. Take that opportunity and rise to the occasion. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Roberta Schwartz, followed by Devin Chase and Sophia Aisi, I believe.
My name is Roberta Schwartz. I've lived in Brighton for the last 30 years. I came here a couple of weeks ago to speak out in support of Robin Wilt, who I greatly admire, who I feel nothing but love for because of the way that she conducts herself in this community, the way that she speaks out on behalf of the oppressed. As an older Jewish woman, I'm really I'm really disheartened by the sense of this community and the way that people are focusing on demeaning an individual who is really trying to bring other people together in this community. I heard a few weeks ago a comment by another woman who said she couldn't believe that what Robin has put up with and the way that her name has been castigated. Perhaps she is too good for this community, but I want her here. And I also, as an American Jew who is currently working for the Martin Luther King Jr. Center in Atlanta, under Bernice King, the youngest daughter of Martin Luther King, and also working in support of the Museum of the Palestinian People in Washington, D.C. I think it is time that we all come together and that we speak out against many of the policies that are taking place in Israel and in this country, and money that's being directed by American taxpayers to Israel that's leading to violence. In the past, I've always been proud of growing up in Pittsburgh, where there was a sense of solidarity between African Americans and Jewish people, where they came together, where they recognized the bridges that they shared with one another. Please don't tear this down in Brighton. This is not a town where I've ever experienced anti-Semitism. I'm a privileged person. I live in a lovely house. I've had my kids go here. I experienced anti-Semitism in Pittsburgh, where my car was filled with bird seed because people believed that Christ was killed by Jews. It's not happening here in Brighton. But again, let's end the hatred. Let's come together as a people. Let's look out for the rights of those who are genuinely oppressed. And let's not create a sense of hatred where there really doesn't have to be hatred. There's enough crap going on throughout this country. Let's just end it, come together, and recognize that when Israel is being criticized, there's a reason for it. And that doesn't mean that I'm anti-Semitic. I'm not. I lived in Israel, but I don't want money from my taxes going to kill more people.
Thank you. Devin Chase, followed by Sophia Icey and